heading to now, Joanne?
So now we're going to Taupo, and we will stop in Taupo at the Taupo Bungee and have a quick look there. And then we'll also go to Hooker Falls, which are the most famous waterfalls in New Zealand. Very big.
It's absolutely pouring with rain, but even in this weather you can see the beautiful nature that New Zealand has. And I'm currently in Taupo, and next to me is the most famous waterfall in North Island. It's called Hooker Falls, which means foam in Maori language, and it's emerald in color, and it's one of the most visited waterfalls here in the North Island of New Zealand.
New Zealand's beauty is quite breathtaking and unique, with dramatic landscapes consisting of volcanic mountains, rolling hills, huge lakes, hot springs, pristine rivers and shady forests, unspoilt by overdevelopment and the urban pollution that normally accompanies a developed country. It has a large number of birds, including the iconic kiwi, though many of New Zealand's wildlife became extinct after the arrival of humans. This makes tourism an important industry, contributing 15 billion New Zealand dollars, or 9% of the country's GDP in 2010. And New Zealand welcomes around 2.4 million tourists per year, providing 18% of the country's export earnings in the same year. I wish to know more about the country and what it means to be a New Zealander. And for this, what better person to talk to than the Prime Minister himself, Mr. John Key, at his residence in Wellington.
The Prime Minister's house.
When I meet him, he's preparing for a state visit to Indonesia.
Hi. Hello. Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you very much for welcoming me to your beautiful home.
Oh, thank you, no problems. Welcome to New Zealand. It's great to have you here.
And I have the wonderful Wellington weather.
Yes, I'm sorry we haven't turned on great weather for you, but that happens sometimes.
Prime Minister, again, thank you very much for having me here. I mean, it's a very special occasion, obviously, since this is where you live.
Yes, indeed.
So at least I can see you where you're at home, so to speak. Now, I've travelled a little bit around New Zealand. You've seen the beautiful scenery and visited some of the important places. And I wonder, what does it mean being a New Zealander, especially with all the different diversity of the population and all the different flora and fauna and beautiful natural scenery?
I think if you'd come last year, we would have argued it meant a love of rugby, given we hosted the Rugby World Cup and went on to win it. So we're very happy about that. But look, I think one of the things that's unique about New Zealand is its natural beauty. And as a country, we have a lot of different seasons, 4 seasons in the year, so that sort of differentiates us. A very green environment. I think when you fly into New Zealand, you can't help but notice the green grass.
Absolutely
beautiful. Even when it's summer and it's not raining too much. And the big oceans, obviously we're islands, so there's, I always think that in the huge skies that you see in New Zealand. I lived in London for a long time, in New York and in Singapore actually. And so you just don't get that very clear environment in a lot of parts of the world that you get obviously in New Zealand. I think it's also about the people. I mean, we're not a large country, 4.5 million people. Quite generalists in what we do, generally seen as very friendly. So, I mean, it's hopefully a fun place for people to come and get a different experience. And if they come from Indonesia, then they'll find some very good Indonesian restaurants here.
Okay, so if a visitor to come, say, from Indonesia to New Zealand, what would you say would be the 10 top things they should do and see while in the country?
Well, I'd definitely try and get to both islands if they could, because there's no question, if you go down to the bottom of the South Island, some of the raw beauty there in places like Queenstown is just outstanding, and the mountain ranges are very different, and so the conditions are quite different there. But again, the North Island has some great beauty and some fabulous places to go. I think the culture, I mean, the Maori culture is the indigenous culture here, and they have their own stories and their own way of doing things, and it's Polynesian Pacific base to it, but it's different, and I think they would find that really interesting. Some of the food here would be quite different from the sort of cuisine that they would enjoy back in Indonesia, and so I think that would definitely be worth it. The rural sort of nature of it, I mean, there's quite a lot
of sheep around.
There's a lot of sheep, a lot of farms. Quite the opportunity if they want to go and have a farm stay and do something just completely different that they probably wouldn't do in their hometown. So there's just a range of things here, and hopefully they can pack in some sort of sporting event or something.
Other than nature activities, New Zealand is also well known for adrenaline sports that appeal to those looking for excitement during their holidays. It is, after all, the home of the bungee jumping, and it was here the commercial bungee jumping sport actually started, when AJ Hackett made his first jump from Auckland's Green Heights Bridge in 1986. The day is too wet for a bungee jump, but I'm not one to miss a bit of a heart-stopping fun. Another popular ride for the adrenaline junkie is the Zorb, which I decide to try in Rotorua.
Am I scared? Nope, definitely I'm not scared.
Getting butterfly.
This is basically getting inside a giant plastic beach ball and getting rolled and bounced down a steep and bumpy hill.